Sir, is a positive 2 left or right?
Positive 2 is left. Which way? What do you do with positive 2? The hated value? Or?
2 different positive 2.
No, the K goes.
K value would be up.
Yeah.
So neither left nor right.
That's what I mean.
Yep. Yes, Mike.
So what you said vertex equals 1.
Yeah, you need to write as a coordinate and 2 coordinates. The vertex occurs at x equals 1
Is
y.
that just minus 1 and 2?
Yes. It's not minus 1, it's positive.
Oh,
When you do the X and Y table,
I'll explain that in a second. Alright. We're going to look here at sketching and translating our functions. I'd have everything out of my hands. I'll be looking up because we don't seem very proficient at this. So I still see people with pens in their hand. Hard to listen and write at the same time. So when we read these functions, it won't come with the information in red, it'll only come with the information in the black pen there on the board. We need to, it's always a good idea to write this down somewhere. This is what we call the general form or vertex form of our, what type of function is that? Straight line, yes or no?
No.
No, it's a parabola, correct? We've only dealt with, in this class, we've only dealt with parabolas and straight lines. So if it's not a straight line, it must be a? So we've got a parabola here. That's our general form for our parabola. What occurs at the point HK? Our vertex. Why do you think we call this vertex form? Because it tells us immediately by looking at the function where our vertex occurs. So without any working, I can already identify where my vertex occurs just by looking at my h and my k value. Now we need to remember that the h has the opposite sign. So we can see in our equation x minus 1 squared. The temptation is to write that h is equal to minus 1, but in reality it is equal to plus 1 because it must equal positive 1. If h equaled negative 1, it would be x plus 1 squared. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So why doesn't it make sense? What doesn't make sense? If you put a value in here, put a value in here of negative 1, what do you get? It would be x minus negative 1, correct? What's minus negative 1? Is that what we've got there? X plus 1?
He's confusing me.
This is stupid.
I set a value of h equals 1 in. I don't even need to do anything with my k value, I can just look at it straight away. What is my k value? 2, positive 2. So I already know that my vertex occurs at, I've already written that on the board. Vertex occurs at the coordinate?
1, 2.
1, 2. So if I was drawing my graph, which I'm about to do, I would put up a special point at that. Oh, that is a good graph. Let's try that again. You just offered to help us one out, Dallas? Is that you offered to help us with this question, or was that someone else? I just heard a voice. No, it wasn't Pat. Someone else. Cool. Someone was just telling Patrick how to do it, so I can only assume they were offering to do it for the whole class. We can't hold our comments, gents. We can do this up in front of everyone. So I've already identified that a key point occurs at 1, 2, and I put a little dot on my graph there. Sweet. I then identify that I've got an A value of negative 2. The negative is important here.
Does that mean it goes
Ooh. It's going to be reflected, so it's going to be, normally we're happy if we've got a negative A value where? So you flip it down, upside, so it looks more like an M than a U. Our function, so this is the part where I'm identifying any transformations or translations, I should have written, or translations that have occurred. My function has been translated, which means what is translated? Talking about shifting the function up, down, correct? Transformations, we're talking about flipping or stretching. Cool? So translated is shifting, transformations is when we talk about flipping or stretching, dilating. So it has been translated, how many unit or units left or right? 1 unit to the? 1 unit to the right and
2 units up.
2 units up. It has been reflected, which is what you're talking about with the flip. It's been reflected. If you think about a mirror, it flips it upside down. Reflected and dilated by a factor of 2. Now at this stage we can use our table. I always put what value in the middle? My H value. What's that going to be? It's my K value, so that's going to be equal to 2. Now when x equals 0, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2. What is 0 minus 1? 0 minus 1. Negative 1 squared. Positive 1 times negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2. What's going to happen here? How many units is that away from our turning point? What happens with our parabolas? They mirror each other around the axis of symmetry, remember? So what's this value going to be? I don't even need to calculate it. I already know it's going to be the same, correct? What about negative 1 minus 1? Negative 2. Negative 2 squared is? Positive 4 times negative 2. Negative 8 minus, plus 2. Negative 6. Do we get the idea? I'm going to leave the last one for you to solve because I want us to practice solving those effectively. I've actually got enough information to sketch this already. I've got my intercepts. And I don't need any other key features because I've already got all my... What are my key features? What are key features? Intercepts and the vertex, correct? Have I got my vertex? That occurs at 1, 2. Have I got my intercepts?